Oh, all right, I'm out of breath. Right, Tommy, how are you, Cobber?
Carlos, how you going, mate? How's your week been, mate?
It's good, mate. I'm out of breath. I just had to
Breath,
look for
what
your
do you-
remote. My dead shit niece has lost it somewhere. Love him to death, but my God. Found it, watching the Demons game.
Yes.
Um,
Big game
just
tonight.
getting ready. Big game ahead. I want to tell you.
What's the score so far?
Currently, we are currently at 25-22 Geelong. This could be the grand final.
Absolutely can be.
This could be the grand final right here. Real quick story. It's about something that happened to me at work many years ago, and I was thinking about it today. For no particular reason, actually, but when I was 19, I was working in a train station by myself. It was a Friday afternoon. It was about 1:50. I was supposed to finish at 1:35, but I was running a little bit late because I was doing some stuff, just getting ready. Walking out at 1:50, and I'm leaving, and this woman says to me, "Can I use your toilet, please?" I said, "Sorry, love, we're shut down for the day. They're not open. There's no one here to help you." And she abused me, called me a cunt, everything. And I said, "Sorry, I can't help you." And then, in one swift move, this banshee put her hand up her dress, whipped out a tampon, and threw it at me. Now, she didn't whip it out of her purse. She whipped it out of her rotten, old, bloody box.
Oh, that was so fucking foul, man.
It swung past me, hit the wall. I didn't know what to do.
Did you matrix that shit? Did you fucking... Well, just
No,
go
it just
down?
it didn't sort of come like it come at me, but it didn't go close to me. And I sort of looked at it hit the wall, and I looked back at her, and I thought to myself, you know, you got two options: cause a scene and clean it up, or just turn around and get out of there. So I just left, and I arrived back on Monday morning, 05:30, 5 minutes early, and there it was, proud of
Oh.
my honeymooner's dick, just staring at me,
Crusty.
bringing back bad memories.
Crusty
So that was,
demon.
I was thinking about that today. I don't even know why I was thinking about it.
Was that at Ferny Grove?
That was at Grovely.
No.
That was at Grovely. Of all stations, Grovely.
Oh, it's not a great stage.
What a place.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
It could be worse.
What made you think of that?
I don't know. I honest to God don't know, but I was thinking about just past incidents I've had in my work life. And that one popped in my head when I was young. I was young though.
Definitely
Fiery and
memorable.
young, but I just let it go. I just thought, you know what? If this woman's willing to pull that out and throw it at me, she's got something going on upstairs.
Oh, she's wheeling the box on, you would imagine.
She would have smashed me head into. She wasn't a small woman. Geez, we've got plenty to talk about.
We do, mate. That's
Plenty to talk about.
I mean,
The Knights won by 6. Weren't very good though against the Bulldogs. I wasn't thrilled for a team that's really looking to solidify their spot in the top 8. I think we have, but
I'm pretty sure you're in the
Jesus,
8 now, but like,
yeah, we're 7th at the
You're
moment.
not-
We're 4 points clear. A lot of results went our way today, which was good.
you
all
definitely
over the
didn't.
weekend so
You
far.
didn't set alight the Bulldogs, which makes you wonder. Are you just gonna get dumped out in the first game of the finals? Who knows?
We had some poor defensive efforts, and there's a lot of. What I wish they would do is feed early ball to Bradman Best, and they're not doing that. They're making him do these sort of one-out hits off the off kick returns and stuff, which is handy, but he's not getting early ball where he can show his magic, use his power, his speed, his footwork. He's sort of getting pigeonholed into this role of run it off after the first hit up after the kick, and then he gets left in the lurch sometimes, and it's not good enough. They need to get him early, clean ball.
Yep.
That's my gripe.
Is that
And,
that the only thing where you guys think that you're struggling? Like, do you think that there's
No, defensively we're doing some quite dumb. We're doing some really poor defensive things. The Connor Watson situation, with him going to the Roosters,
I saw
worries me. It doesn't worry me massively, but I wonder. I think him as a person, and I don't know the guy, but this is just something I'm assuming from seeing him on social media and hearing him talk in the media. He's at a crossroads in his career where he wants more out of his football now than he can potentially get from the Knights. And Trent Robinson is a proven winner, and he's a great coach. He debuted Connor in 2017, I think. So to me, I think it's a great move for him because Trent will probably turn him into the New South Wales number 14 within 1.5 seasons, maybe even 1. He's got that ability. But it worries me because I think he went for less money, less years. So we don't have this draw. But on the flip side, Adam O'Brien is still a very young coach. And then
But of
the
course, you're
Josh
not going
King
to have
departure.
a draw. You're going to have. You're going up against the Roosters. You know, and all be
Yeah, but we've
all
got
be respect,
but like,
all due respect. You know what I mean?
yeah, they are the glamour club, but he went for less money and less years. We gave him sort of long-term security with 350k, and he went for 2 years, 300k.
Well, it's
But
like
it
the
has to be a
conversation
football
we were
decision.
having, you know, on our last episode where we were talking about, you know, like the old Tom Brady versus Dak Prescott. So obviously,
Absolutely.
this guy's probably weighed up. Do I stay at the Knights for more money and more years, but potentially not even get a crack at winning a grand final, or do I go to the Roosters?
See, I think we're close.
Take a bit.
I think we're close.
Well, look, obviously you know more than me about the Knights, but you know you're in 7th. Do you really think you're going to make that much of a jump next year to go from 7th to contention?
I think we are closer than everyone thinks. We had a really poor run of injuries again this year. Once they've gone away, our winning percentage goes up. Pierce Ponga back together. You got to remember, it was the first time this year that Pierce Ponga and Brayley had ever played together, and they've been together for 18 months. So now they're getting a bit of a combo. Our forward pack can hang it with everybody. They are a pack of beasts. The Knights forward pack, they will hang with anyone. Outside backs, really a lot to be left to be desired. Minus Bradman Best. Kurt Mann tries his hardest. Heimel Hunt is good, but he's not really a great finisher. Anari Tuala's been good the last few weeks, but prior to that, he was really just average. Really average. We got Edric Lee's there, but he's got this fucking weird injury. I don't know. I think we're close. I reckon we're within a couple of seasons of giving it a good push at least.
Yeah.
Giving it definitely a good push to get maybe to the semi.
And look, obviously, I'll agree with you because you know more about that club than I do. But where I struggle at the moment is I look at the. I'll write the Eels out because I think the Eels are probably in the same category as you right now. I think they're
a slippery slope.
Yeah, exactly. They're probably going further down more than what you guys are, and
we're on the up.
You guys are on the up. They're on the down. But the 5 above them, so the Roosters, the Sea Eagles, the Rabbitohs, the Panthers, and then the Storm. Are you going to get that much better that you're going to be better than those 5 teams?
I don't think so.
That's where it's going to be that's where it's tricky for me because out of those 4 teams, the dark horse for me there is the Sea Eagles.
Oh, absolutely. And I was talking to a guy at work about this yesterday. In my time watching rugby league, I have never, ever witnessed a more dominant display than what Tom Trbojevic has done this year. He has been so fucking dominant with everything he does. He runs the ball like a front rower. You look what he did in Origin 1. He took two hit-ups in the first set of 6. And I was like, well, it's game over. He's going to win. They're going to win and they're going to win big. He's got the skills of a halfback and like the slickness of a fullback. He's as big as a back rower. He runs like a front rower. He's everywhere. He's scored 20 plus tries in 14 games. He's got something like 22 or 23 try assists. Watching Joey, he was very dominant, but he was dominant in another way. I've never seen someone so all-round dominant in a game ever than I've seen this season. And a few of the other people I spoke to sort of are tending to agree with me, even though they are Manly supporters. But I've never seen anything like it.
I've seen more talented players.
Have you seen them keep it up for this long?
I have, but it's tricky. Like, I feel like right now he's easily probably the best player in the comp in terms of when he has the most.
He's
impact.
the best player in the world.
He has the most impact. So when he gets the ball, he can alter the way the game goes more than anybody in the comp. However, I would argue that maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, maybe that Tedesco had equally the same value.
But Tedesco doesn't play the same.
He doesn't play the same as Trbojevic because he's a fullback for starters. But I'm talking.
Well, so is Trbojevic. Trbojevic is a fullback,
but he plays in the centres in New South Wales. But
yeah,
so
that's what makes him better, in my opinion. It makes him better than Tedesco.
Well, he's more
versatile.
He's more versatile, so he can play in different positions. But what I'm saying is, in terms of when they got the ball and general impact, like Tedesco was unplayable a couple of years ago. So I think it ebbs and flows. Like he is.
But I don't think he was as dominant, like consistently dominant as Tom Trbojevic.
I would say the reason why I can't say that I haven't seen another player like it and whatever is because this is for me probably a peak year. If he does it consistently, then I'll say this guy could be the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. But he's had an amazing year, and he's unstoppable at the moment. But you know what it's like better than anybody. When somebody has a breakout year, what happens the next season? There's 2 or 3
But see,
people.
this isn't his
There's
breakout
2 or 3
year.
people.
He's done this before.
Yeah, but this is definitely his best year, is it not?
Well, this is the best year I've ever seen by anyone.
Exactly.
I've never seen anything like it.
But my point is,
I've
I
never
think
ever
that,
seen anything like it.
I think that when you have a standout year like that, as good as he's doing, the next season, the pressure's up because you get 2 to 3 people on you all the time, and then people are expectant that you're going to be that good.
I think he is that good. I think he's good enough to handle it.
He might be.
So
He might be. But, you know, there's been some great players over the years. I can't,
freakishly great
I can't
players.
call him the best thing I've ever seen yet. He's having a
this
fantastic
period,
year.
This period's the best I've ever witnessed when it comes to rugby. Mate.
Yeah, I can't say that.
The Cats have gone up by 10. Pack of bastards have gone up by 10.
It's going to ebb and flow, mate. So, I mean, who would just to talk about, keep segueing on to NRL before we go into AFL and all these other topics that we got in our mind tonight, because we have a lot.
Tons.
Just, if you had to pick right now, and I mean, with your thinking cap on and, you know, allegiances aside or whatever, who's your grand final?
I've got Manly Melbourne, and I think that if Manly finish 4th, right, Manly will lose to Melbourne in the grand final. If Manly finish 5th, they potentially will beat Melbourne in the grand final. You do not want to play Melbourne twice in a final series, because if you beat them, you're not beating them again. They're too good. They run the field. They know everything about you inside out. You got to look at how good Bellamy prepares people from the cattle that he's lost, and that this is Melbourne's best ever season, and
Absolutely.
they have lost their 4 best ever players.
Have they won 20? How many games have they won now? 19 or 20?
They've won 19 in a row. Next week they're going for the most ever.
Yeah.
They've got the most games over 30.5 points or something in a season ever by anyone. They are just breaking records everywhere. If you look at them across the paddock, they look weaker compared to teams they've had in the past.
Exactly. I was just about to say
But they're
that
not.
I was just about to
They're
say
not.
that. So, you know, as years passed, they've had all these, you know, the Cameron Smiths, the Billy Slaters, the Greg Inglis, the Israel Folau's, all these players that they've had. And you could say on paper that this team isn't as strong, but what Bellamy does consistently every single year is he produces results year in, year out.
Absolutely.
And I would argue, and when he's when he's done with the Storm or wherever he goes, he could be the best coach of all time.
He already is.
I think
he already is the greatest coach of all time.
If you look at his body of work and what he's done for this sustained period, for this long period of time, no other coach has done that. So you might have coaches that have had maybe better years. You've had coaches that have maybe been more exciting or whatever, but this guy is on another level for the length of time he's done it. It's remarkable.
Really is.
And to win 20 games potentially and to break the record, that's insanity.
Since I think it's 1974. If you look at some of the other super coaches at the game's seen, I never really saw anything to do with Jack Gibson. He was before my time, but from what I've heard about him and read about him, he was a super coach, but he didn't have the success Craig Bellamy has. Wayne Bennett has had more success. He hasn't been in as many grand finals, but he's had more success because I think he's won 7. I think Craig's won 6. I could be so wrong.
He won 6 with the Bronx and one with the
He's
Dragons.
won one with the Dragons in 2010.
Yeah.
Your boys. But if you look at Wayne's team of the Broncos from I think he took over in 88 or 89, I can't remember, through until when he left, he had the fucking Australian team on paper almost every week. They were ridiculously stacked.
Yep.
Where Craig had turned these players who admittedly have turned out to be some of the greatest players of all time, but he helped build them into that. That wasn't there from the start. He was there from the start, and they bought into his system.
Absolutely. You look at Addo Carr before he got the Storm.
He scored 120 tries in 160 games or something.
Exactly. So there's a player he's made absolutely amazing. Cameron Munster, he's made amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Who's this Kiwi?
Admittedly,
the Kiwi
they've
fella
got a lot of talent. Jerome Hughes.
Yes, and he's like this chubby. Looks like he's playing in the pub.
He was
side.
an outcast.
You know what I mean?
Him and Brandon Smith were outcasts from the Cowboys. They were no hopers. Craig brings them in and just turns them. They both play for New Zealand. Jerome Hughes is now running around as probably the second best halfback in the NRL. I can't see anyone who's sort of. It's Nathan Cleary first, and then probably Jerome Hughes. I don't see anyone who's
easily
close.
the best halfback.
Brandon Smith has so much impact on any given game he's in, whether it be defensively or especially with ball in hand. He's so impactful. And I think Craig, what you said before is right. He will go down as the greatest coach of all time, but I think he already is. I think he has got enough on his resume to say, you know what, mate, you're the best. And good on you. And you look at Melbourne, and like I have a chat with fellow at work all the time. Melbourne aren't allowed to fail, but I don't think they can fail with Craig at the helm anyway, because he just produces and produces and produces.
Do you think the Panthers have got anything in them to cause an upset? I mean, I know they made the grand final last year, and then they got some exciting players. I think that they'll probably be worse next year because they're losing a couple, like Burton going. Yeah. That's a big loss for them.
Not Luke. Kurt
Capewell's going.
Just a
as
real
well.
quick one. The Cats are gone 50-22. This is a fucking blowout.
Nah. We'll talk about that in a minute, mate. We'll keep going.
Sorry, mate. I've got the shits. I've got the shits now.
Hey, imagine how I feel, mate. We're bloody fucking third bottom.
7-6.
It's all right. Just take a chill pill.
The only way is up.
Out of that bottom, like I was going to say, well, I'll get back to the Panthers quickly. So I don't think I'm with you under the understanding that I don't think the Panthers will win the grand final.
No.
I just think the Storm were too good, and like I said, I think the Sea Eagles. I can't even write out the Rabbitohs, to be honest, being the third. Roosters.
No, Rabbitohs weren't that great last night. Penrith schooled them a little bit last night, but they might have scars from when they played in Dubbo and fucking Penrith put 50 on them at the start of the year. So there's
but I will say this too: a team that you don't want to have in fifth place is the Roosters. You don't want to play them.
No,
that's an awkward game.
You absolutely don't want to play them.
Yeah,
no.
So they can get on a run. You never know, they've been there, they've done it before. So I won't dismiss the Roosters, but out of that top 8, well, so the teams that aren't in the top 8, so from 9 down to 16, if you were to pick, let's say 3, I'll give you three teams, and I want your opinion on this. In the next couple years, who do you think out of the bottom 8 is the most likely to put on to move on and to put on a performance and to get a team together and to be a force and to get breaking into the top 8? Because obviously it's really hard to break into that top 8 nowadays. Who would you say is the teams that you think that's possible doing that?
I'll give you the 3. So I've got 3. I think the Warriors. They're floating around. I think they might be 10th at the moment. There's a really close race between 7 and 11 at the moment. It's only sort of
I'll tell you. I'll break it down for you. So the Sharks are in 8th and they're on 20 points. They're going
to have a fight back. They will have a fight back.
Down to 13th there's only 2 points in it. So from 8 to 13, that's 6 or 7 teams there. So they're all tight. They're all close. It could go either way. Yep. But yep,
I think the Sharks will have a resurgence. I think the Warriors as well will have. They've bought really well, but the thing with
lost
the
their best player though.
Yeah, well, the RTS, but they've gained a young fucking weapon, man. I know he's young still, but Jesus Christ, he has some impact. The Warriors, to me,
Walsh. I love Walsh.
It depends. It depends what Warriors sort of turn up. If it's sort of lazy Warriors where they don't want to do the hard work, then you go, all right, game over. But they have this ability to go on a run, and it sort of happened from 2002 when they made that grand final against the Roosters.
I think it happened in 2013.
Yeah, it happened.
Played
the
Roosters
again against Manly. No, Manly.
Manly was
they
it?
played Manly in
exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing.
2000 and something. Manly touched them up. They have this ability to go on runs, right, where they are unstoppable. And I think they might be coming close to one of those run years again. And my third one, just with... Now, this would be all hinging on if they sack Trent Barrett. Because I don't think Trent Barrett's a very good coach. He ruined Manly. He fucking ruined Manly as a club. He had a lot of shit going on outside that, but he fucked them. Des come back and cleaned him up, and look what he's doing with him now. If Trent Barrett gets sacked at the end of next year, and the Bulldogs bring in a coach with a bit of nous, now I think with Wayne Bennett not retiring but leaving South at the end of next year, I reckon he can end up as Bulldogs coach. I don't know. There is no basis to that whatsoever.
Yeah,
I just
a gut
feel. Although Phil Gould's there and they fucking hate each other, so that's
exactly. I was
stupid,
just
actually.
about to say.
I just remembered that cunt went there, so that won't happen.
Yeah.
If Trent Barrett fucks off, the Bulldogs have got the right mix now of people with young Matty Burton coming in. He can't have too much pressure on him though.
Addo Carr.
Addo Carr. they've got a bit about them, and I think they can fight back a little bit. The ones that worry me, I think your poor old Dragons, mate. They got a lot to live up to. The Dragons.
We've got a lot going on, mate. We've got a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. I don't think Griffin will be there at the end of next year. I think he'll get sacked.
I think
which is sad because I like him as a coach, but I think he's gone.
I think some of the signings too can be questionable, and if they don't,
Mbai is a weird signing for me because the Tigers signed him on $900,000 a year. Can you believe that? So Moses Mbai left the Bulldogs for the Tigers on some. It was back ended too, so it was like 750, 850, 900 for Moses fucking Mbai.
Yep.
I don't know what you's got him on, but I'm assuming it's a lot less than that.
Well, look, he's just trying to put together the fucking Queensland team again. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, the
Warrington
Maguire signing for me was a bit. What you doing? Like,
see,
the McCulloch signing because you needed a hooker. The loss of Cameron McInnes was a big loss.
So look, Look, the Maguire one I kind of give a pass because I think at the time we needed someone just with a bit of mongrel in them, just to rough up that pack a little bit. And this is before we lost Paul Vaughan and that whole barbecue thing happened. So I think at the time,
I still think they're hard done by. I really truly think they're hard done by still.
Let's put it this way: this guy has been sacked because of a flu. You think about that. He's been sacked because of a flu.
You know what the thing that annoys me about it the most, and I think I've spoken about it before, is that these guys tackle each other hundreds of times a day. They sweat on each other. They'd be sweating their mouths. They are real physical with one another all day, every day, but they can't go and have a beer together in the afternoon at their private residence. I know there's a rule saying, oh, fucking everyone can't do it, but we don't live in a bubble. They do live in a bubble.
Yeah, so
there should be...
I think
that bubble should have some sort of leniency to it when you're only seeing the people that you've worked with all fucking day.
I think where it got sticky and where this is why ultimately they got in trouble is because obviously they signed contracts to say that they can't do that stuff, and then what happened is I think they started to invite people that were outside of their bubble. So they started to
I know Jack DeBellin was hiding under a bed.
Yeah, they started to invite. I think they started to invite chicks around and people that weren't inside their circle. So in essence, they're putting the fucking community at danger.
The Jai Arrow Appy
and and all that shit. You know what I mean? But look. Still, at the end of the day, I think it's ridiculous because, like you said, you can tackle each other all game, and you can, this is what's really stupid, and they do it in the AFL. They tackle each other all game, they play a really high intense game, but then when they're in the huddles after the game in the dressing room singing the song, they wear masks, and it's like
it's dumb. It's so fucking dumb. Man.
I don't understand.
It's really starting to give me the shits. Like you watch all the players now, they run out with masks on, they throw them in a bucket, right? It makes no sense to me because there's a guy standing there holding the bucket. What is going on? It's so infuriating.
We're playing silly buggers now. It's ridiculous.
It's just outrageous.
So
give me your grand finalists this year. I reckon it's going to be Manly Melbourne.
Yeah. So just to round off, you've got Manly Melbourne. Who have you got?
I do.
Who have you got winning it?
It's all dependent on if they play twice. If they play twice, Melbourne. If they play once, Manly.
Jeez, that's big. So my grand final. It's crazy, man. My grand final is actually Melbourne v Seagulls also.
Yep.
And I've said for a while, and I don't know, you might not have heard me, been talking to a few fellas at work about it, and I've said, I'm telling you now, I've got a gut feeling, and it's happening because this guy we've been talking about it, this guy is in stellar form and he's staying fit and nothing is happening to him. I've got this weird feeling that Manly are going to win it. I got this eerie feeling like that is one team that you just want to avoid, and if they get a run, they can do something, and when they get into that finals, magic can happen, and I don't know why. Obviously, Storm and the Panthers on paper are better than them, but I just got this gut feeling.
So the thing with Manly, you look at Manly at the moment, Kieran Foran is in great form again.
Hasn't he? I'll tell you what. I mean, obviously,
he's turned around.
That's what I was about to say. So obviously, to the people that know footy in and out, we can see it. But man, he's gone under the radar. He has gone under the radar this year.
But he's playing so well. There was something that happened. I think it might have been against Canberra, and it might not have been. doesn't matter. They were down, right, and they were down by about 18, and they'd scored just left of the post, whoever it was, and Foran was just fucking spraying everybody just beside the post, and I thought, holy shit, he's back. This is the Kieran Foran from 2010, 11, 12.
That's right.
He's back. The guy, he's got his mojo back, and watch out, and he has just gone gangbusters. He's getting overshadowed by the work Trebojevic and
but that's almost
Cherry Evans are doing.
That's almost a better thing, though. You know
it's
what I mean?
perfect for him. It's absolutely perfect because he's got the slight touch, he's got the nice little pass, he's got solid defense. He's just doing his work and he's doing it really, really good.
I think that what's evident is that over the last, the clubs that he's been at the Doggies. He's been at was he at the Warriors for a bit?
Yes, he did, and he was at Parramatta.
Yeah, at Parramatta. And I think at that stage in his career, he was asked to be the man. And when you ask him to be the man, I just don't think he's that type of guy. He can't really.
He had a lot of injuries too.
He did,
a shit ton of
and
injuries.
he had a lot of mental problems. He was going through some shit.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was evident. But I think that someone like that just can't handle all that pressure of being the guy that's got to dictate the play in the game. I think
that's a very fair call.
It is, mate, because I think that now you've got Cherry Evans, you've got Trebojevic, which is easily the best player in that team. It takes a lot of pressure off him, and he could just play his game. He can do what he needs to do. He can be effective. And he can play the best footy, and he's happy to play the footy that he wants to play right now. He's not, his head's not getting involved. You know what I mean? He's not getting over pressure.
Yes.
But I also think that Hasler is a perfect fit for him. You know what I mean? He's
like a mad scientist. That bloke. He's crazy.
He is, and it's just turned out to be a great, a great rejuvenation of his career. You know what I mean? He's on the up again, and he's playing.
And it's good to see. I love to see a bounce back. Because I know a lot of people hate Manly. I don't hate Manly, even though I probably should, because they're probably the Knights' biggest rivals. I don't hate them, and I love to see a bounce back for a player who I think deserves it, and he deserves a good bounce back, and he's doing really well.
The only team I hate's the fucking Rabbitohs, mate. I mean, that's for obvious reasons.
I hate the Broncos.
Obvious reasons for me, mate. Come on.
Dragons, true.
But yes,
I hate the Sharks.
Just rejuvenation of his career, mate. It's really good to see. You don't see it a lot.
No, you don't. You don't see
I thought he was done.
And it's nice to see.
I thought he was done. I thought after where he left his last club and he came to Manly, I thought there's no way he's going to get back to his form. But he's turned it around and he's playing awesome footy. But onto the AFL,
real
mate.
quickly.
Well,
I was just about to say that we're getting pumped. 62-23. It's an absolute joke. Aren't Port playing well? Port are looking hot.
Port are
they're
very
looking
hot.
like they're gonna.
Very hot.
They are hot at the moment. Geelong's putting us to the sword. I've got it on in the background. I'm looking at this top 8, and of the top 8, I can see 3 teams who can win it.
Yep.
Port, the D's, the Cats. I can't see anyone else out of that winning it. I've said this to you many times. If Brisbane didn't win it last year in Brisbane, they're not winning it. That was their ultimate. That was their chance, and they blew it. The Bulldogs fallen away a little bit. The Swans, nah, not really. GWS are in a bit. They're getting beaten by Carlton at the moment, but I think they'll fight back and win that one. And Essendon do nothing for me.
Yeah.
So you're more of a guru when it comes to this to me, because I've really taken to the game in the last couple of years, and I really, really enjoy it. But you've got your heels in. You've got the tattoo on the ankle or on the calf. You've got the dirty bird on the calf.
I do, mate. He's there. Peeking.
The big Maggie. I can't say a dirty bird because I go for the Maggies in the football, but it's actually not a bad symbol, is it? The Collingwood symbol. I'm just having a look at it now.
I love it, mate. I mean,
it's actually quite a nice looking symbol.
Yeah.
But fucking hell, aren't you bastards hated?
Oh, we're easily
the most hated club in it all.
Mate, I would argue we're the most hated club in all of sports in Australia. Not only
100%, 100%,
Yeah.
100%. I can't think Manly would be close.
Manly's close,
but I think Collingwood are despised.
Absolutely.
What do you reckon it is? What do you think it is? Is it because they sort of a battler area, or is it because they were a bit rough and guts back in the day? Because you look at Hawthorn, they were fucked in the 80s and 90s. They were rough as shit.
I think years ago we had, like, it's not that bad now, but years ago our fans were kind of had a name about them as being, kind of like, rough and dull bludgers, and we were just like off the centre link, and we were just, grubby sets of fans and all that shit. And I think years ago we kind of were, but
going on travel warrants.
Yeah, exactly. And we just had grubby sets of fans, but also too, people aren't gonna like to hear it, but when you are the when you are consistently in grand finals and stuff like that, and you're disliked, people jump on the bandwagon of hating you. So
yes,
we've played.
Do you know what it is in Australia? They talk about this, and it's very different in America. Australians, I reckon, get this thing where they hate the tall poppy. It's a tall poppy syndrome, right? So if you're winning, it's the same reason I get the shits with Melbourne, the same reason I don't like Brisbane, and the Roosters annoy me, because I don't want to see them winning all the time. The tall poppy syndrome gets to me.
Mate,
I love an underdog. Australians love an underdog.
Absolutely. But I don't think that that's just Australians. I think that's, people in general. For example...
You reckon?
I'll give you an example.
I reckon Americans love a front runner.
No, and I'll give you an example. How many times, and I know you might just because you fucking hate him. I don't. He's probably easily top 3 for me. But how many times when he was probably at 40-0, did you want Floyd to lose?
I hate Floyd Mayweather.
Exactly.
I wanted him to lose since he was 20-0. I can't stand him.
But my point is, the longer it went on, the more time that's why people pay their money, because they want to see it end.
But he was ducking everyone.
They want to see it end.
There's a difference between that, because I could argue this point with you all the time. I think Floyd, if you look at his resume, and I know we've gone off AFL here, his resume is not what it should have been or what it could have been. Yes, he's 50-0, right? He's 50-0. It's really hard to be 50-0. He's defensively probably the best fighter I've ever seen, but he ducked everyone. He never changed weight classes. He wouldn't fight anyone that was in form. He waited and waited and waited till people dropped. I think he was a ducker. He made Pacquiao wait 5 years to fight him.
Couple of things. I'm going to put my boxing hat on here. So first off, you're wrong about being in weight divisions, because he's a multiple time
Is he?
Yes, multiple
divisions. I thought he was. I might be thinking of Golovkin.
So first stat wrong. Second thing is that Pacquiao thing. That's tit for tat, because Pacquiao avoided blood tests for years. So Mayweather always said that he felt that going from fucking flyweight up to bloody what was it, welterweight or whatever it was. It's like 7 or 8 divisions. He kept asking Pacquiao to do blood tests because he was like, there's no way someone can go up from that low and knock people out.
It's all in his calves. Look how big Pacquiao's calves are.
And Pacquiao kept avoiding it. So, anyway, that's another discussion. So, we're going too far here. We need to get back on AFL. But I'll touch on that back in a minute, because that's a lot to talk about. Because I love that topic and I love Floyd. But, just quickly back on AFL. So, we got grand final, and who I think is going to win it, right? That's what we were talking about.
Yes, I think there's only 3 that can be in it. I think there's only 3 that have the potential to win it: Port, Melbourne,
so
Cats.
Right now, if you were to say who the fuck do you think is going to be in the grand final, I've got grand final as Port Adelaide and Geelong, because I think that those two teams right now, I think Port, and I hate to say it because I don't like Port, but Port Adelaide for me are just hit form at the best time, and they've got players back from injury at the best possible moment.
Yeah, they have.
And they are really flying. And don't forget, they played in the prelim last year, and they lost to Richmond. They would have learned from that. I think they learned a lot from that. And they're playing really, really good footy. If you actually look at their stat of their last 6 or 7 games that they've played, they've swamped teams. I mean, yes, they won a game against the Doggies, a real close one last night, but they're playing in great form. Geelong are a team that can get to a grand final. I don't know if they're going to win it, but they're a very good side.
A little bit last year against Richmond. That was...
Exactly. They played the grand final against Brisbane. They played the grand final against Brisbane, 100%.
Oh, yeah, they absolutely did. They really did.
But Melbourne, Brisbane, and Bulldogs don't give me confidence of being able to get over the line. I think they're exciting, and on their day, I think they can beat anybody. But when it comes to finals, all 3 of those teams have kind of got young sides. They've got a few veterans, but the majority of those 3 sides are quite young. And I think that just in those pressure scenarios, in finals, in NRL, in AFL, in fucking Champions League finals, in NBA finals, the game slows down. It's not as fast paced and frantic as it is in the season. It slows down, and you need a few old heads and veterans in the side to be able to dictate the play and make the right decisions. And I just think
it becomes more it becomes more decision based. There's only one thing I would say is a bit different to that, is State of Origin, where it becomes more fast.
Oh yeah, harder. But Origins,
but that's a different game.
You know what
that's
I mean?
A different beast.
Yeah, Origins, it's complete own thing, and it's special.
The game does slow down. I think it becomes a tougher game. Do you know, in finals, right? And I think it's the exact same for AFL and NRL. The game becomes more old school than the regular season. The rules are a bit more lenient. The umpires and the referees are a bit more foot off the gas, and they just let the game play itself out. There's a bit more bashing. There's a bit more argy-bargy in it in
100%,
both forms of the game.
100%.
And there's a lot more sort of macho masculinity in it. And it's a better game. It's a better spectacle.
It is, because you know, in finals they know that people are going to be up for it. They know that players are going to come full bull, so they understand that tackles are going to be harder and stuff like that. So you are right, they let things go. And I love finals. It's always exciting. There's always usually a team that kind of catches you off the cuff a little bit, that makes a run. And if I was to pick right now, I'd say it's Sydney, because Sydney are a dangerous team.
They were good last night.
They're exciting and they have no fear. They play a very attacking style of footy. And when I tell you, I'll tell you right now, you got any team that has Buddy Franklin in the team, you got a chance.
Big Lance. Do you reckon Buddy? I'd love to get your opinion on Buddy. Do you reckon Buddy has not even come close to living up to his hype? Because I remember when he was at Hawthorn.
That's a hard answer. That's a really
well. Did he signed a 10-year deal with Sydney?
Yes, you're right. Yep.
As the biggest thing in the AFL, the greatest player there was at the time. Do you think he's lived up to what he is being paid, and do you think he's lived up to his hype?
I do, because I think if you're anyone that kicks 1,000 goals in footy,
that's true.
You're top 3, and he's going to be top 3. You know what I mean?
Do you reckon as a winner? Do you reckon he's provided as a winner? It's sort of a stats man. He's a bit like Peyton Manning.
I know
he's a real good stats man, but is he a real good? Is he going to get you the grand finals?
I would say and the reason why, and I'll break it down a little bit, because I think that, you know, in AFL, it's not easy to win a premiership. It's probably one of the hardest sports. And I know, you know, you can make the argument for every sport's hard to win a premiership. But ultimately, you know, in AFL, there's just a lot going on, you know, like, and sometimes you need a lot of luck, and it's not all his fault. Like, he got the premiership at...
it's not his fault. Absolutely, it's not his fault.
He got the 2 premierships at Hawthorn. That's all he's got, right? And then he goes to Sydney, and then he hasn't won one at Sydney ultimately. But he's played...
And that's what I'm saying. How long has he been there now? 7 years?
He moved in 2013, but he's played 2 grand finals.
But he hasn't won them. And this is my argument. And this is, if you're on a 10-year... And it's the same argument for Jason Taumalolo in the NRL. A 10-year deal, to me, says you've got to win me some grand finals. The cattle around him will help, right? But he, at the time he signed it, was the best player in the AFL. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't think it's all his fault, though. He was the best player in the
AFL. No, it's absolutely not his fault. There is no fault to bear. What I'm saying is, I don't think he has lived up to what his contract and his hype is. Yes, he's going to go down as one of the greatest of all time, but he hasn't won. I think others have.
No, because I disagree. Because there's some players that go to teams and they're just kind of, and they're lucky to win multiple premierships, right?
Well, what about like Trent Cotchin?
Exactly. Well, Trent Cotchin.
Do you reckon he's lucky, or do you reckon he's better than Buddy as a winner?
Well, it's a hard question, because ultimately he's a better winner because he's won more.
What I'm saying.
But Trent Cotchin is not even half the player that Buddy Franklin is, and the reason why.
But he's triple the winner.
Yeah, I know, but you're talking about a dynasty. So the Richmond dynasty, right? Those things don't come around every. You know, they don't come around every team doesn't have a dynasty. That's a unique thing. Richmond hit the peak, and they've been fortunate to have their dynasty, and all credit to them.
They sort of took it away from Hawthorn, didn't they? Hawthorn were going through that beautiful run.
Well, look, so Brisbane
had one in the early 2000s.
Brisbane with the original dynasty, and then you have Hawthorn, and then it's been Richmond. And you got to give credit where credit's due. So they were a fantastic team, and Trent Cotchin was their captain, so he's got 3 premierships, and all credit to him. However, if we're getting back to Buddy, it's it's tough, because Sydney, I don't think, did the best for him. So because he was on such a monster deal, they had to try get pieces around him, and to try get that premiership winning side is tricky. Although he played in the 2016 grand final for Sydney, right? Sydney versus the Dogs, and that 2016 Bulldogs, that's a Leicester. You know what I mean? They finished 7th, and they went on this crazy run. And that team was not a great team, but they managed to win the grand final because they had this amazing run, and their coach got behind them. They were motivated, and yada yada yada. And they beat Sydney. Sydney were the best team in the comp that year, probably, and
they were. I remember that.
They should have won the grand final, but
that's what I'm saying. He hasn't produced when he needs to, and that's why I think he hasn't lived up to what. And I'm not saying he's a fucking great player. The guy is a freak of nature, but he hasn't lived up to what his contract was about. No, I don't think, and
I don't know. It's just such a hard one because it's not like So I'll explain it like this. It's not like NRL, right? So for example, Travojevic, when he gets that ball, he can dictate from the minute he gets the ball to the try line. He has complete control of whether or not he's going to score that. Correct?
Well, yes and no, but I know where you're going. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Buddy Franklin, it's not his fault that when there's a bounce in the middle and the midfield doesn't win the clearance and get it to him, that's out of his control. He can't help that.
Yeah, but it's not Tom Trebojevic's fault that his front rower knocks on and they lose the ball either.
No, it's not. But what I'm saying is in AFL, there's just a little bit that goes into it that needs to put you in a position to win. So he is easily been the best forward in the last 10 years, but sometimes at Sydney, they just haven't had the right blend of having a premiership side. If he stayed at Hawthorn, he would have won more. Granted, I 100% would have said that. But he left for more money, and you can't blame him.
So and you can't blame him for leaving for more money because you've got to set yourself up for life.
Exactly.
Right? But do you think so he was the best player in that Hawthorn team when he left, right?
Well,
and then Hawthorn left him in the dust.
He was the standout. He was the standout
of a great
player.
bunch.
But I don't know if he was. In terms of most important or whatever, you could say Sam Mitchell, you could say Luke Hodge, John Lewis at the time. There's great players there. Great players.
All winners. All winners.
Yeah, but that whole side with Clarkson was all winners, man. Clarkson, that dynasty with Clarkson was incredible. So, yeah. But, I don't know. I can understand your argument, but I think that sometimes he's been a little hard done by. And like I said, any player that scores 1,000, like... Tony Lockett.
It's stupid.
Tony Lockett's the greatest forward that's ever played the game, right? Greatest forward. He's ever won a premiership.
Old Lockie. Yeah, see that.
So that's what I'm saying.
He's a solo superstar.
But this is what I'm saying.
Winner.
Yeah, but you could be a winner and be a shit player. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I understand your point.
I mean,
but when it comes to the greats,
team, they are useless. Well, they're not useless because they won obviously the premiership.
Yeah,
but I'm saying they're
when
not.
When it comes to the greats, the greats drag their teams to
Okay,
win.
Let me ask you this then: who's a better player, Jack Riewoldt or Buddy Franklin?
Jack Riewoldt, in my
For you, that is, I almost want to
I think so.
I want to flip my laptop.
You can. But because, I think why? Because Jack Riewoldt provides more to his teammates than what Buddy does. Buddy is the solo superstar. He's a freak of nature. You don't reckon?
No, he doesn't. Because
I don't know. He's a winner.
No, Jack Riewoldt has been so fortunate because that Richmond team has been so good.
Yeah. Well, so let's say who's the best player in Richmond?
Dustin Martin.
Dustin Martin, right? So Dustin Martin will drag his teams to grand
Dustin Martin,
yeah, right.
That's a different.
Why doesn't Buddy do the same?
That's a different argument. I'm not arguing.
Well, that's what I'm
Dustin
trying to say. Why doesn't
Dustin Martin's a different player? Dustin Martin plays in the midfield, and Dustin Martin.
So who's better? Is Dustin Martin better or Buddy better?
Dustin Martin's a better player.
Yeah, that's right.
100%, and that's no question. Dustin Martin is, if you talk about regular season, he's just a.
So it's sort of position based. If we're going to look at people who can drag you to a win in AFL, it's positional. It's not. It's not.
I think it's very hard. I think it's very hard for a forward to drag a team to a final. It's almost that blend of a midfielder / half forward that drags you to winning multiple premierships and having a dynasty. Because when you, for example, Michael Voss, right? He's the captain of Brisbane Lions. Yeah. And like players like Simon Black and stuff like that. They were probably the better players at Brisbane. But Alistair Lynch and Jonathan Brown were fantastic forwards. But Voss and Black had more impact on the game. And then you look at, I know he never won a premiership and he always gets, this is the biggest thing that goes against him, but Nathan Buckley had more impact on Collingwood than any other player. Scott Pendlebury has more impact on Collingwood than any other player. The midfielders have more impact. And Dustin Martin is probably the best of the bunch because what he does in finals is he's able to just create this absolute... He could turn games He can get
He's
the
got a
ball.
motor too.
Yeah,
He's
he
got
can
a
get the
motor
ball in
on
the
that bloke.
midfield, right? But then he does this blend where he pushes forward and he could drag. He plays like a full forward. He plays one-on-one. And one-on-one, he's easily one of the best players in the game because he's able to push people off.
Yeah.
And just in terms of finals, it's hard to argue in the finals that there's anyone better than Dustin Martin because he's won 3 Norm Smiths. So that means
He's a freak.
he's been the best in every single premiership game. But
So if Buddy was, this is just a very hypothetical. If Buddy was a midfielder, he played in the mid, right? Do you think he would have more bearing over a game than what he has playing up front?
well, for starters, that body could never play in the midfield.
I know he's a big boy up front. He's just kicking him away. He's
Yeah.
huge. He's a massive guy.
Yeah.
But if let's just say he would have more bearing, and then he would have more bearing on whether his team won or lost.
Yeah. Yes. That's
So
the
Buddy's
crux
so Buddy's fortunes, his unfortunate losses in grand finals is due to the position he plays, not the player he is.
That's the crux of my argument. Yeah, because you got to remember too, right? So, coming from a statistical point of what I'm looking at here, a lot of goals in AFL are scored from stoppage. A lot of goals in AFL are scored from turnover, and that's nothing to do from forward. So if there's a stoppage inside 50 and there's a centre bounce and you've got a fucking absolute quality ruckman and they tap it down to a mid that's running on and they slot one,
Big Maxi.
you know what I mean? So the midfield is what's probably going to win you premierships, and if you've got an absolute superstar like Buddy Franklin up top, that's going to help you.
So he's just he's the icing on the cake.
He's the icing on the cake.
He's not the workhorse. He's the icing on the
But
cake.
what I'm saying is, like, in terms of just ability and the amount of goals that he's scored, he's probably the best forward easily in the last 10 to 15 years. It's not even close.
I'm not arguing that. I just don't think he's that much of a winner.
Yeah, well, whatever. But anyway, back onto grand finals. Yeah, so I've got Port Geelong, and I've got I'll say Port are going to win it. I think
Yeah, it's a good. I think
it's very hard for me to go against them right now. Although they play Brisbane, they will play Brisbane in the first game of like that. Because what happens in the top 4 is the same in the NRL. They get the double chance. So if they lose, they get to play again. So that will be in Adelaide, and you just never know. You never know with footy. Sometimes Brisbane could turn up and
they
cause
Danaher could have a blinder.
You never know, mate. But
do you know what I find?
I would pick Port.
Is you know, in like AFL and rugby, like NRL, they're so different.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing I think's the most standoutish for me is players' names are so different. You know, like I've never heard of a Danaher running around in the rugby league. You don't really hear of like a Meninga running around in the AFL. You don't like. There's never been a Pendlebury playing for St George.
Yeah, fair.
Rugby league players have real basic bogan names, but AFL players have these sort of fancy la-di-da names. I've always wondered that. And
Better
it must be
athletes,
just
mate.
because... I don't think so.
Oh, you cannot disagree there.
I do not think so at all. I reckon
All right, let's get
rugby league players are
I'm
way
pushing,
more athletic than
I'm
AFL
pushing
players.
my seat in close. This is a
Yep.
debate I'm ready for. You need to give me why you think.
Why do you think an AFL player is more athletic than an NRL player?
For starters,
Do you think a body type?
No, I'm just going to give you everything. So for starters, they run more. They got to be fitter, right?
So what's the average Ks in the legs per player per game?
Mate, they run way more than 15 Ks a game.
Okay, that's a lot.
It is. They run more than trust me. I am the biggest football fan out there, and they are fitter than footballers. The amount they have
There
to
is
run.
no way you could run 15 Ks though in rugby league after getting tackled 40 times at the same
Now, hold
rate
on.
of
That's a different argument. I'm saying
That's why I'm saying they're more athletic.
no. That's because that doesn't make sense. So
No, it does.
No.
Because to be able to continue to play at that athletic ability after being in those collisions time and time again, to me proves that they're a more athletic player.
no, but that's not what athletic means. I'm talking about they're fitter. They can do more athletic.
But being fitter doesn't make. Oh,
No,
have you
so
seen
they
some
could
of the wingers
they
in the
could
NRL?
They could do more athletic. So what's the word I'm looking for here? They could do more athletic like things. So they could jump higher. They could sprint more. They have
Have
to
you
tackle.
seen the wingers in the NRL?
Yeah.
Have you seen?
I
Have you
have.
seen the Fox?
Yeah.
Have you seen
Okay,
Ronaldo
but-
Muliatalo?
I'll tell you this though. How many times does Adokar touching the ball in a game?
Oh, probably 30-ish,
If
maybe
he could
35.
sit out on the wing and he's not for large periods of the game. He's probably not doing much.
Buddy can sit up front and do the
He
same
can,
thing.
but when you're at 100 and what is he, 15 kilos probably,
Yeah.
and he's sprinting around all game.
Greg Inglis
and
was
he's
like
got to make
110
marks.
kilos.
It's a lot harder to consistently take marks in a game and jump at packs than it is to do anything in rugby league.
You reckon it's a lot harder to consistently take marks than run the ball into 3 men and be in like an 100-kilometre-an-hour car crash?
Have you
40 times.
seen some of the pack marks that AFL take?
Yeah, they're freakish. They're very talented.
There's more collisions, hard-on collisions in AFL than there is in NRL.
Not a chance.
Yes, there is.
That is no way on
Yes,
earth.
yes, there
There's
is.
more off-the-ball collisions. There's more sort of dog shot collisions where people hit them at angles. Rugby league, it is just front-on bashing time and time and time and time again. And then you look at the wingers. The wingers,
But that's
I
not
would
athletic.
argue...
That is not athletic.
No, but that's what I'm
You're
saying.
just running
The wingers-
straight at another player. That doesn't
No,
require...
but look at the wingers.
That doesn't require much.
I feel like
You
I
watch-
want to chime in here. 'Cause
Yes,
please. I've just got some statistics for you.
Okay.
So average rugby league game is 7.2 kilometres per game,
Yeah.
with about halfbacks doing up to 8.5 kilometres and the forwards
Okay.
around 6.
Yep.
AFL is whopping 13 kilometres per
Yeah, that's a
game
lot. But
on
that, just because you
average.
run further doesn't make you more athletic.
But I think the question...
It exactly
100%
makes you more
AFL.
athletic. If you run
Yeah.
more, it requires more from your
Well,
body.
all right then. So who's more athletic, a basketball player or an AFL player?
An AFL
Player.
player.
Not a chance. They just run further.
No.
There is no way an AFL player is more athletic than a basketballer.
No, because it does... Okay, look, I'll say it like this. I'll break it down. Easy. There's more aspect to the AFL game. They have to do more, so it requires more athleticism. Whereas a basketball, they're just running down and jumping at a hoop, right? Whereas in AFL, they've got to bounce the ball, they've got to kick the ball, they've got to handball it, they've got to jump, they've got to tackle. There's so much involved in that game. They've got to be a true athlete. Whereas in rugby league,
all right,
they've got the
all
ball
right,
in their
no, let's
hand
just-
and they're running it straight at someone. That's
Not
literally...
really. Who's more athletic? Let's go sort of player for player. Who is more athletic? Let's think. I'm trying to think of someone athletic in the AFL. Give me an athletic player in the AFL.
Off the top of my head. I mean, I'm trying to think of like...
Someone from Collingwood. Anyone athletic?
I'll just go Pendlebury because he's athletic.
Okay, Pendles. Is Pendlebury more athletic than Roger Tuivasa-Sheck?
You're talking the elite.
No, I'm talking athletic. I'm talking people who are athletic. This is what I'm saying.
But what are you
I
saying?
think-
You're not saying anything.
Well,
You're
rugby
just
league
picking-
players are more athletic.
No, because you're picking the best player and trying to use that as the crux of your argument.
No, so that's what I'm
It's
saying.
not.
You pick the most athletic player in the AFL, and I reckon the most athletic player in the NRL would be more athletic than them.
I think you're wrong.
Because you have to you look at wingers and centers, right? You look at the way they score those tries in the corner, right? That is, to me, is absolute athleticism. They contort their bodies in the air. They're going at full pace. They're jumping above people like they do in the AFL. They're similar heights, similar angles. They're putting the ball down without dropping it. It's complete athleticism, right? They don't have to do that in the AFL. You can drop the ball whenever you want. You can spill it whenever. It's a much messier game where you have to have complete control over your body, which to me makes you more athletic.
It is a messier game if you're talking it like that, but then it's...
But that's what, to
it's
me,
the
takes away the
follow-
athleticism.
But no, it's the follow-on effect. So if they're taking a pack mark and they drop it because there's about 4 guys in there, then when the ball
Yeah.
spills out and they've got to get up and try and run after it and pick the ball up...
But you do the same. But you do the same thing in the NRL.
Yeah, I know, but okay. But how do you score a try? You're just putting the ball down. Whereas
Yeah,
in
but,
the,
yeah, but,
in
you
AFL,
have to
you've
put
got
the
to
ball
get
down without dropping it.
and you've got to bounce it before you run 12 steps. You've got to kick it. You've got to make sure it's... There's a lot more
the only
aspects
game-
in the AFL. That takes...
AFL's the only game I've ever seen where you get a point for trying.
Yeah, well, that's what my dad says all the time. But that's not...
I love the game, but I just don't think they're as athletic as rugby league players. Do I think they're fitter? Absolutely. AFL players wipe the floor with them when it comes to aerobic fitness, right? When it comes to athleticism, I would argue tooth and nail that they're not as athletic.
But what do
as
you
rugby league
define as
players.
athleticism then?
The leaping ability, the ability to contort your body, the ability to move at really quick pace in different directions, the ability to step off both feet, the ability to kick off both feet. Like, I look at Kalen Ponga, he's very athletic, right? I think we could all agree Kalen Ponga's a very athletic guy.
Yeah.
I think he would be more athletic than the top athletic people in the AFL.
No, I disagree.
You don't reckon?
Nope.
Why do you disagree?
I side with Tommy.
Because
You reckon?
Yeah.
Well, I just don't...
I think if
it's got
you-
nothing to do
like,
with
to
aerobic
me-
fitness.
To me, with the question of which sport is more athletic, it is hands down AFL.
Yeah, well, because there's probably more athletic players. Because you look at forwards in the NRL, they're not athletic. They're just big bastards running dead straight. But
And
when
that
you move
is
out further...
that is my point. So you get a second rower.
So, because there's more athletic people on the field.
No. Because it requires more. That game requires more. You cannot have a guy that's 100. You cannot have fucking Andrew Fafita on the AFL field playing full forward. He wouldn't last 2 seconds because he couldn't.
Well, their body shapes are completely different.
My point is that the game is more athletic because it requires more. So the people like Buddy and the people like Joe Danaher, these guys are freaks, man, because they're massive and they can do the things that they can do. A second rower in the rugby league...
Well, Taumalolo can do that.
He could not play in the AFL. They wouldn't last 10 minutes. They'd be gassed.
Yeah, but I don't think AFL players would last 10 minutes in the NRL. This
Wrong.
is what I'm saying.
Buddy Frock, he'd run straight. He'd go straight.
He'd be killed.
Or,
He'd be murdered.
nah, don't think so.
They would kill him. He would get killed day one.
He'd cop some hits, but he would go all game.
Do you reckon he'd get up again? And again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again?
Yep.
I don't think he could.
But that doesn't... Just because you can
But
run...
that's not the athletic ability part.
Exactly. Just because you can run at someone and take constant tackles, that doesn't mean you're more athletic. That means you're strong.
Crazier. It makes you a fucking psychopath.
Yeah, it means you're strong and your heart is probably more... So the heart to play rugby league and the strength and the willpower probably is higher than what it is to play AFL because you've got to run straight at people for 80 minutes.
But I think with when it comes to the athletic parts of the game, the direction changes, the leaping, all these other things, I think the pinnacle of NRL players are more athletic than the pinnacle of AFL players.
I'm struggling
across the board. AFL players are probably more athletic.
Yeah,
because there's more of them on the field who have to be athletic at any given time.
Yeah, you're right, but
I don't think the pinnacle of the sports, I would lean towards the NRL.
I just don't know how you can argue with that because literally the only way you score a goal in the AFL is by taking a jumping mark. So they're literally doing it all the time.
Yeah, but you have to do the same thing sometimes in the NRL, and you have to put a ball down on the ground.
But the only way they don't score tries, the only way they score tries is not from jumping to catch the ball.
Yeah, well, they don't. The only way they don't score goals is by jumping to catch a ball either. I've seen people float a ball.
Yeah, look, they make goals off runs, but I'd say 90% of goals scored in the AFL are from marks.
You reckon?
Yeah,
I don't know.
man.
The D's score quite a few off the run. 90%'s a big number. Can we get our resident stats man Kyle Howe to check that for us, please? Resident stats man Kyle. Hang on. I've just got a text message. Kyle Howe has just come back with me and said that there is 1.4% of goals in the AFL scored off marks. So Howe, you're a fuckwit. That's not true. Don't ever come back with that rubbish again. So there you go.
Christian Petrarca, absolute athletic demon, mate. You know,
he is very athletic, but I would say Roger Tuivasa-Sheck's more athletic.
Well, that's an argument now. That this is something we're never going to agree on because
we're never going to agree on. Do you know what we can agree on? I've got something we completely agree on. AFL players and rugby league players are more athletic than rugby union players.
Yeah, but that each game is...
It's a different argument again.
It's a different argument, you know?
I know. I'm just going horses.
Because toughness is a completely different
You can't...
spectrum.
How do you measure toughness?
You know what
I've always wanted to know that.
Because I would argue that rugby union players are equally as tough as anybody, if not tougher. Because to get studs in your face when you're in the ruck, that's tough. That's not fun. I've played union. It's not fun. When you're down in the ruck and you've got fucking bodies on top of you, and then you get up and you're in another one, and then you get up in another.
As a collision sport, the collisions aren't that hectic.
No, they're not.
I don't think so.
Well,
I don't
think they're not putting in shoulders like league.
And they're not running from... It's to me what the collisions get heavier because the distance between the players. Rugby is just a flat defensive line with a deep back line, and a lot of the collision happens at the ruck. Where rugby league collision is, and AFL collision, it's quite fast.
I think
I would agree with that, but union is way more of a
union's more
game.
Yeah, union's
more
more
much more.
Yeah,
Union is more of a beautiful game. Union is more tactical. It's more beautiful in a way because there's a lot more nuance to the game. Yeah. They're all very different, and I don't think any of us are going to agree on anything other than you two ganging up on me being bullies.
It's the game played in heaven, so that's what they say.
But I mean, Union's probably a hard.
Who knows if it's the game played in heaven? When did God come out of the sky and say, "Hey, listen up, I've got all animals 2x2 from Noah, and we play rugby. See you later." What a man!
Kyle told me.
Kyle Howe, Kyle Davis now, resident stats man. What a man.
That's right.
What's the percent? What's the winning percentage in heaven? Jesus Christe, winning percentage 80%.
That's what they reckon. And then obviously, football's the world sport, and that's not even a contest.
Football is the world sport. Rugby league is a sport played by bogans in Australia. But fuck,
Yes.
I love it. Fuck, I love it.
That's right. But
You know what? Speaking of football, I want to have just end on a little fun note with me. End on just a little bit of fun before you go watch Liverpool fucking trounce Burnley.
Oh, we don't
So-
know that, mate.
Don't be so ridiculous. I want to play a game with you, right? And this is something that we're both going to be involved in. We're going to build a team together, and we're going to add a manager to it. We're going to pick a stadium. We're both going to agree on the stadium. We can't pick Anfield. We can't pick St James. All right.
Where are you going?
I
here?
wanna build-
Where are you going with this?
The best looking 11 plus manager. So we're going to do 6 each footballers of all time. We'll do a fullback each, a centre back.
How the
Dude.
hell am I going to remember who the best looking
Well,
players are?
well, I've got a couple because I've been thinking about these men a lot lately. I don't know why, but I've been thinking about good-looking men. I'll lead off, right, with a striker, and I've got him down as the GOAT of good-looking men, Fernando Torres.
Yeah, that's a great
Would
pick.
you think he's a good-looking man?
He's a great
Right.
looking man, yes.
Yep.
Fernando Torres in Liverpool 2008 with his long blonde locks.
Oh,
That's peak Torres.
Like-
I think you're
If
very
there's any-
biased here on this one, Tommy.
I'm
No,
just
if there's
saying,
any
that's
women
peak.
listening-
That's when he was at his peak and he looked great.
he looks so... If there's any ladies listening, get your wet floor signs out, because here we go. I'm going to throw a couple at you then, Tommy, and you might be able to pick a few out of your brain. Midfielder, Cesc Fabregas, real good-looking bloke, rugged, sort of sexual Spanish-looking man. Would you disagree or would you agree?
I mean, when you put it like that, I guess I agree.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's tough.
Ronaldo. Look at Ronaldo. He's a
Ronaldo,
stunner.
yeah, Ronaldo easily. I guess he's gonna be up
Ronaldo
there.
easily.
Well, you seem
You're
to
not
have
going to
put-
come with
you
that.
seem
You're
to
too
have put-
straight for this game.
That's what I mean. You seem to have put too much thought into this, Carl.
Yeah, but I don't know why I think about him all the time.
I can't
Like
think
my
of
other...
it, mate.
David Beckham in the midfield.
Easily,
Really good-looking
yeah,
guy.
easily. It's not even a contest.
Yeah, that's,
See, when you
I
have a
agree with
think,
that.
thank you, because he's a stallion. You don't make him talk, but just look at him. You go, geez, he's a good looking bloke. My left winger, Jack Grealish. I think he's a good looking guy. I'd put him in there. Good hair, just real
Great hair.
good looking. You know what I mean?
Some would say
The
great.
backs are where it's sort of
Well,
gets iffy
the,
for me.
the centre backs are notoriously rough, rugged people, mate. They're not exactly stunners.
I don't. You know what? We could put ugly ones in. Who was that bloke who played for Liverpool? Martin Skirtle, not a good-looking guy.
Mate, I tell you a player that was uglier than Martin Skirtle that played for Liverpool.
Thomas Susek.
No. There's a centre
he's an
back,
ugly cunt, man.
and this he's not a well-named centre back. He wasn't around for long, but there was a centre back for Liverpool called Kyriakos. That guy was a Greek centre back. He was the
Sounds like a
ugliest
Greek
man.
god.
He was the ugliest man I've ever
That
seen.
poor guy. That poor bloke. He sounds like he'd be a Greek god.
Oh man, he was an ugly bloke.
Do you know who fullbacks? I'll give you a good-looking fullback. Theo Hernandez, good-looking bloke.
Yes, they that whole family's not doing bad, are they?
Yeah. See, Lucas Hernandez. You put him as a centre back. Good-looking bloke.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'll pay
Edison. Edison's got great new teeth. Pretty good-looking fella as the goalkeeper.
that. Ah, see, I reckon Edison's a munter, mate.
Who do you reckon's better, Alisson Becker? He's not.
Alisson's-
He's got a bit of
Alisson's-
he's got a bit of ruggedness to him.
I'd
A
say
bit of
probably.
manly man.
I'd say probably the best looking goalkeeper was probably that Carrius, but he was a fucking drip.
Oh yeah, he was. He was.
He's a good looking
actually. He was.
rooster, but
And then you get like, see, this is what I mean. There's a few that are just hanging around, waiting in the wings to be brought up. I can't think of any right backs. Danny Alves, he had a bit of mongrel about him. He looked like a gang member. He had like that sort of, I might kill you, but I'm fairly handsome sort of vibe about him.
I'm sure
You know
there's
what I mean?
been some Italians down the years that have probably looked decent.
Oh.
I can't think. Like Insigne's a fucking
Lorenzo Insigne's a good looking, but he has the best haircut I've ever seen. Chirolmo, what do you reckon it is with Italians, right? Why do you reckon they do that thing with their hands?
Oh, that,
Like,
yeah.
What do you think it is? Where do you reckon that come from? Who was the first Italian to do that?
I think it's
and
the
why
way
did they do it?
I've seen someone describe it. I think it's the way like they because obviously they're European. It's like their way everything that they think of like why
It's with
someone
their
does
hands.
this or they want to explain something. They use their
Yeah.
hands like that, like oh fuck you or what are you doing or come on man. or,
It's a
"What do you
very
mean?"
cultural
Yeah.
thing, hey.
Yeah, it's just what they do. Like I guess Australians
It's-
probably
to
have
me,
something, but I can't fucking. do
Australians
that.
have something. To me, it's like I work with a lot of Indian guys, and they all do a little head wobble thing. And to me, the Italian thing, the Italian finger thing, is the same as the Indian head wobble thing.
Just a slight.
It's a culture thing.
It is a culture.
Yeah,
thing.
it's just a little wobble when they're sort of agreeing or disagreeing with you. It's just a cultural thing, and I would love to know where it stems from.
Oh, man,
Like
it's just
where-
the beginning of time, mate, and it just comes down through families.
The dawn of
you know?
time.
It is.
Five
mate,
people just one went to Italy and one
in
went to
the
India.
gladiators, mate, in Rome. They were all getting the fingers out, and then let's just go from
Yeah.
there. You know, I don't know, mate.
Olive
But
oil, pizza.
just to go back to segue back into our earlier conversation, because I think it's something we need to talk about.
Yep.
Top 3 then, boxers of all
Yeah.
time.
My favourite 3 boxers of all time.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to give you, in no sort of particular order because I haven't really thought about it at the moment. Michael Tyson is in there.
Yes.
Canelo Alvarez is absolutely in there. And probably number 3 would be... Oh, God, I can't think. Number 3 for me would
tough,
be... Sugar Ray Leonard.
That's a great pick, and he's probably
Sugar Ray Leonard.
He's in my top 3. So my top 3 in terms of favoritism, I'm not going by record. Just
Yeah, I'm the same. That was my 3 favourites.
yeah, my favorite, just people I love to watch. Number 1 is Iron Mike. He's easily
Isn't he good?
He's the most exciting fighter that's ever lived because just what
If
he
you
can
would
do.
would you let him in his prime punch you in the face with an uppercut for $1 million? Bare knuckle?
Am I waking up?
I don't know. You just got to you got to run the
Mate,
gauntlet.
Jeez, I don't know. I mean,
You got to run the gauntlet. See what happens.
You'd have no teeth left.
Oh fuck it! It hurt.
I mean,
eh?
you'd have to. You take it, but fuck, man.
He was scary in his prime, man.
Very
Legitimately scary.
very scary. Bloke.
Legitimately scary.
So much talent, man. So much. I would argue, and I've talked about this with a couple of mates before, so many times. I would argue that in terms of talent, he would arguably be the most talented fighter that's ever lived. But the way his career ended,
That was hard work. That was a lot of that was hard work.
you know what I mean? Like, obviously, he's not had the best career because the way he went in jail and he moved on from his trainers and all that shit, and it kind of just went to
Brad
fucking-
Pitt slept with his girlfriend.
Did he? Fuck, I don't even know.
Yeah, and apparently Mike was going to kill him. Vaughn told me that story.
Mike wanted to kill
Brad
everyone.
Pitt slept with his
But
girlfriend.
in terms of
Give me your other
talent-
2.
Okay, so yeah, Mike, and then I've got Sugar Ray Leonard. I love Sugar Ray Leonard, and I love Sugar Ray Leonard not only as the fighter, but I love Sugar Ray Leonard when he was in the Contender Series. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
My God, I love the
Yeah.
Contender Series. That was awesome.
How good.
And then my third is a bit of a unsung hero that not a lot of people love, but I love him. Oldest champion of all time, Bernard Hopkins,
Bernie.
because he had
Burn.
27 straight defenses in the middleweight division. Absolute
That's not bad, is it?
weapon.
That's not
And yeah, oldest champion of all time. I think he may have been 50 when he won it. Or
Fucking
so,
hell.
yeah, he fought really late.
Nah,
He won it.
that's old, man. If he won it
Nah.
at 50, holy shit.
Have
Do
a
you know who's
look.
an unsung hero?
Trigger, have a
Roy
look.
Jones.
I'm
Unsung
fairly
hero.
certain Hopkins won at like 48 or 47. He won a title. Roy Jones was an absolute demon, and like his
On his
peak,
day. Oh my
his
God.
ceiling, like his peak was at the top. I reckon. Like
Well,
you're talking
Tommy?
some of the highest ever.
He was 46 when he
There
won.
you go, 46.
Boys, I'm going to have to wrap this bad boy up. I've got to go look after the young fella. So it's been absolutely enjoyable.
No
Up
worries,
Liverpool.
mate.
See you later. Enjoy yourselves, boys.
Take care, mate. We'll talk soon.
Ta-ta.
See you, mate.
Farewell.
See ya, mate.